The cop led me inside the bus to the other prisoners. I swallowed nervously when I saw that there were only men there. They scowled and stared at me. Well, well, what could such a cutie be arrested for? What a mess. As soon as I found out who framed me, I would make the bastard regret it. Hi, I'm Emily. Before I tell you how I ended up in prison, please subscribe to the channel. If you don't, luck will turn its back on you. I'm kidding, of course. It would just be cool if you gave the private diary a follow. The channel's trying hard for you guys. Back to my story. I'd always loved trying on different personalities and pretending to be other people. For example, one day, I walked into a crowded bus, put on glasses, and pretended to be blind. Some guy immediately offered me his seat. Thank you, young man. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I thought the real me was too boring? Tell me in the comments down below what you think about this. I never worried about the consequences of my actions. After all, I wasn't harming anyone. That's my boyfriend Edward. Cute, isn't he? I got butterflies in my stomach just looking at him. It didn't hurt that Edward was stinking rich. How had I won over such a prince? Well, that was easy. I pretended that I came from a rich family too. Literally everything Edward knew about me was lies. Let's go skiing in the Alps this weekend. I don't have the money for that. What? I didn't hear. I said, of course. Sounds great. Yeah, pretending to be rich wasn't easy. I needed to find a job if I didn't want Edward to see through my lies. Luckily, the local cinema was looking for a popcorn seller. After our date, I asked Edward to give me a ride there. We're here. Why are you going to the cinema? My parents bought it, and I wanted to take a look around. See you later. I walked in and said I knew they were hiring. Unfortunately, it turned out another girl had beat me to it. I'm sorry, but Christy applied first, and I already hired her. I wasn't about to give up that easily. That job was perfect, and I would get it no matter what. Luckily, I was a fast thinker, and immediately came up with a touching story. Oh, that's a shame. I really needed this job. After all, I have to take care of 3 younger brothers. For better effect, I made a sad face and pulled some kid out of the crowd. Sorry, Damon. Sis won't be able to buy you new clothes after all. What? Who are you? Shh, just play along. My story touched Christy, and she said I could have the job. Awesome! My new boss said I could start tomorrow. I went home, pleased with myself. Then I realized there was someone in my room. Where the hell were you? I've been waiting for you all evening. That's my best friend Sandra. We were close, like sisters, so she often came over with no warning. My friend was the only person who knew the real me. I didn't need to pretend when I was with her. I told Sandra about my adventures and how I got the job. My friend rolled her eyes, as usual. Emily, one day all your lies will backfire. Oh, don't start. I have everything under control. After Sandra had left, I decided to play video games. And oops, spent a half the night playing. Obviously, I didn't get enough sleep and couldn't focus at school the next day. Our literature teacher, Mrs. Warren, was asking us questions about the books we were reading, and I couldn't for the life of me even remember its title. Well, I wasn't worried. I had a trick for days like that. I had been pretending for a long time that I was taking care of my sick parents and didn't have much time to do homework because of that. Mrs. Warren was quite sentimental, and my touching stories always moved her to tears. The teacher forgave me for everything and gave me better marks than I deserved. That day, I got away with it once again. I'm sorry, I didn't have time to read the textbook because I sat by my mother's bedside all night. Oh, Emily, this is so sad. You worked so hard. Where was my Oscar? I was born to be an actress. After school, I went to the cinema. It was my first day on the job. Sandra decided to check up on me. I told my friend about deceiving the teacher yet again. You're playing with fire. One day the truth will come out and you'll get in big trouble. What are you, my conscience? Get out of here, I need to work. I warned you. She could be insufferable sometimes. I got off work late and completely forgot to do a school project. The next morning, the principal found out about it and called me to his office. My usual tricks didn't work on that strict guy. Emily, your academic performance leaves much to be desired. The holidays are starting tomorrow, but you will attend additional classes as punishment. That's not fair! That's not up for discussion. That was so dumb. I was mad because the principal ruined my grandiose plans for the holidays. Things kept getting worse. The next day, my parents and I were suddenly called to the police station. The cops accused me of throwing a stone at the principal's car. Can you believe it? I told them I hadn't done anything of that sort, and my parents backed me up. Emily is a good girl and would never do that. I don't know your daughter very well. We have irrefutable evidence. He showed us a video someone had brought to the station to frame me. In it, a guy in my clothes smashed the principal's car. I didn't do it. Someone pretended to be me. Save your excuses for the trial. Here's a little spoiler for you. I was found guilty and sentenced to community service. Ruined holidays were the least of my problems after that. After all, I had to clean up garbage in an abandoned hotel for 2 weeks with other prisoners. It was a disaster. Who would want to spend so much time among real criminals? Certainly not me. I was afraid they would hurt me. I had to think of a solution. My acting talent came to the rescue. I had a few hours right after the trial, so I got temporary tattoos and practiced looking tough in front of a mirror. I'm cool. Don't mess with me. That looked convincing. After that, I called Edward and told him I was going to Bali with my parents for 2 weeks. I hope you'll have a great time there, baby. I had to come up with an excuse to explain why I couldn't work as well. Hear that cough? I need to take a sick leave. No problem. Get well soon, Emily. Having taken care of all that, I got ready for the community service. The cops shoved an ugly prison jumpsuit into my hands and told me to change. Then I was led to the bus and the rest of the prisoners. Damn it! I was the only girl there and everyone looked at me like lions at a helpless fawn. As soon as I got out of there, I would find out who set me up and make them regret it. But first, I had to survive 2 terrible weeks. Well, what could such a cutie be arrested for? The rest of the men laughed unpleasantly. I plucked up the courage. It was time to show them I wasn't someone they could bully easily. I walked up to the biggest guy everyone called Big Bob and leaned over him menacingly. Big guy, hasn't your mother taught you how to talk to girls? Making me mad is a bad idea. Oh, I'm shaking in my boots. Are you the head of the mafia, brat? I'm not, but my dad is. I told him I was the most dangerous criminal in the country, had a black belt in karate, and was brilliant at jacking cars. You should have seen their faces. Everyone listened to me with their mouths wide open. Of course they did. I was a terrific liar. After my speech, they grew to respect me. When we got to the hotel, those goons did all the work for me while I sunbathed. This is in Bali, of course, but it's not that bad. Hey, Big Bob, get me another soda. Just a sec, sister. While Bob and his gang worked, I told them stories about my adventures that I came up with on the spot. I got so carried away that I even told them where I lived. Oops. I hoped they wouldn't come over. The 2 weeks flew by. I said goodbye to Bob's gang and finally went back home with my parents. Later, Sandra dropped by and lectured me again. I told you your lies would backfire. Don't start this again. Let's eat. Mom made pasta. At dinner, my friend did not touch the food and just kept giving me dirty looks. Then we went to my room and I asked Sandra to help me figure out who set me up and smashed the principal's car. It must be revenge. Maybe our teacher found out I was lying to her about my parents being sick. What if she was fired for giving me good marks even though I didn't hand in any homework? That doesn't sound likely. It must have been Christy. She could have found out I had lied to get the job and got mad at me. I'm not sure about that. Holy cookies, it was definitely Edward then. He must have realized that I was not rich and decided to take revenge on me. None of this would have happened if you hadn't lied so much. Sandra, I love you, but you can be such a bore sometimes. I wanted to find whoever set me up before school started again. The next day, I went to the supermarket with my parents. While they were shopping, I ran into Mrs. Warren. My teacher stared at my mom and dad, surprised. Emily, I don't understand. I thought your parents were seriously ill. I could have kept lying, but I needed to know who set me up. I lied. Did you throw a stone at the principal's car? My teacher was really hurt by my accusations. She said she would have never done that. Besides, she had only just found out the truth about my parents. You took advantage of my kindness, but you won't get away with it anymore. Oops, I could only blame myself. Okay, if it hadn't been my teacher, then who was it? Later, I was walking around the city and met Christy. She worked as a waitress in a diner. I confronted her, but it turned out Christy didn't even remember me. Do I know you? We met at the cinema and... You know what? It doesn't matter. Forget it. Apparently, Christy had nothing to do with my arrest either. That only left Edward. Later, I went to work. To my surprise, my boyfriend came to the cinema. Imagine how surprised he was when he saw me selling popcorn. Baby, I didn't know you were back yet. Why are you selling popcorn in your parents' cinema? Oh, enough of this. Did you want to get back at me? Just admit it. Get back at you? For what? For lying to you and pretending to be rich. Edward looked at me disappointedly and said he would never stoop so low. I don't care that you come from a poor family, but I can't forgive your lies. Goodbye. He left, looking like a kicked puppy, and I was more confused than ever. Who set me up? I had no more suspects. And then a light bulb suddenly lit up in my head. But of course, it had to be Sandra. Only she knew the truth about me. She wouldn't get away with it. I ran to my room to come up with a revenge plan. That evening, my parents went to visit their friends. So I was very surprised to hear voices in our house. Hey, who's there? Big Bob and his gang came out of the kitchen. OMG, that was bad. Hi, sis. What are you doing here? Aren't you glad to see us? The gang leader said that after community service, they had robbed some store and decided to lay low in my house. You're one of us, Emily. You won't turn us in, will you? That's when I realized I had gone too far. I had to stop lying before I forgot who I really was. But now, to get out of that mess, it was time to wear a mask one last time. So I pretended to be a tough girl once more. No problem, guys. Make yourself at home. I said that I was going to bring them chips, locked myself in my room, called the police, and told them everything. Luckily, the cops arrived a few minutes later and quickly arrested the criminals. You traitor! How could you turn us in? Surprise, guys. You were fooled by an ordinary schoolgirl. They were taken away, and I exhaled with relief. Enough was enough. No more pretending. The cops left, but one policeman with a thick mustache stayed behind to take my statement. To my surprise, he said he recognized me. That's weird. I don't remember you. When did we meet? I was there when we got the video of you smashing your principal's car. Wow, tell me. Who brought it? It was my friend Sandra, wasn't it? You brought us the video yourself. Don't you remember? The man looked at me like I was crazy and left. I was so shocked I couldn't move for a long time. What did he mean? That was nuts. Soon, my parents came back home and hugged me anxiously. The police had called them and told them about what happened. Emily, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. But something's bothering me. I thought Sandra had set me up so that I'd be arrested, but the cop said I brought the evidence to the station myself. Baby, who is Sandra? What do you mean? We've been friends for years. She even came over for dinner recently. I mean, she didn't eat anything, but still. My parents exchanged a confused look and said I had never had a friend called Sandra. No one came over for dinner either. It was just the three of us. Emily, are you joking? My head was spinning. What could it all mean? I didn't want to upset Mom and Dad, so I said that I was just joking. But then I locked myself in my room to think about everything. Then I had some flashes of memory. Wait a minute, that's right. I finally remembered what had happened. When the principal punished me, I was so angry that I lost my temper and smashed his car. But then I felt guilty, so I took the surveillance footage and turned myself in. No one had set me up. I deserved my punishment. Who could have thought? Hold on, what about Sandra? As soon as I said that, I noticed my friend out of the corner of my eye. You've probably realized who I am already. I guess. Are you my conscience or something like that? That's why you've always been lecturing me. But I didn't listen to reason and paid for it. If you keep pretending to be someone else, you will completely lose yourself. Don't worry, I've already learned my lesson. Then my mission is done. From now on, you're on your own. Goodbye, Emily. I'm gonna miss you, even though you were insufferable sometimes. Sandra disappeared forever. I apologized to everyone I deceived. Unfortunately, Edward didn't forgive me. I was dating a girl that didn't exist. I never knew the real you. I'm sorry, but we can't be together. I'm not mad at Edward because it's my fault we didn't work out. Even the smallest lie can have devastating consequences. That's why I stopped pretending to be someone else and now live in harmony with myself. I decided not to let my talent go to waste and joined a drama club. Do you think I'll make a good actress?